Hey there folks, today we're going to be doing some sand casting. I'm going to be going over the basics here using a very minimal setup. So let's go over what you're going to need here. Most of the time when you order a sand casting kit, you're going to get some sand. And this is not just ordinary hardware sand or beach sand. It is a very fine grit sand. It has a special blend of oils added to it to help it to stick together. You're going to need one of these fixtures here, and I'll show you how that's used in a minute. It also comes with this holding fixture. Things you can get from home, a brush is nice to have, an X-Acto knife or other sharp tool. For example, you can use a dental pick here. You're going to need some cornstarch or talcum powder, and I just put it in an old sock here with a knot tied at the end. And you will need a ring blank. And this is what you're going to need in order to make the mold. And in addition to that, in order to melt your metal, you're going to need a melting torch. This is just a simple Mapp gas torch here from Home Depot. You're going to need melting crucibles. One is fine. I suggest two if you're going to be using different metals and you don't want to have any contamination. You're also going to need some flux. This is just powdered borax. Yeah, the same stuff that you would find in the laundry aisle. And as an optional item, a couple of fire bricks or other kiln furniture can be helpful in getting the metal to melt faster because you can create a small oven around your crucibles, which I'll show you later. Now your first step is to take these two flasks, find the one that has the grooves in it, where the channel on the outside is lower than the raised part on the inside. And all you're going to do is simply stuff that full of your sand here. I also have this plastic tray here, which is really handy. And you can tap this in here using anything really, hammer, fist, but you want to get it in there tightly packed. And make sure you overfill it. And you just need something that's very straight. I use this holding fixture here and scrape off the top here. And remember, quality in equals quality out. The better of a job you do on this mold here, the nicer your overall finished piece is going to turn out. So once you got that shaved off, I'll take my thumb here. And for the ring I'm doing, because it is symmetrical on at least two axes, this axis and this axis, I can do a side pour. And a side pour is when you have these two connected together. I'm going to be pouring from the top instead of from the ends. So I'm going to get all the excess clay off on that side, all the extra clay off on this side. So now you're going to take your cornstarch, and this is simply to keep the two halves from sticking together so you can pull them apart later. And dust that, and dust whatever prototype you're using here. And then I'm going to put this right here. I'm going to give myself a little bit of space here so that I can add a sprue later. And how you arrange this is going to depend on the shape. Since this one's pretty symmetrical, I'm just going to go like this and just press it in about halfway. Let's see, here it is. Press part way in. Now I'm going to dust that again, get some powder on the ring itself. I'm going to take the other half of this, and we're going to put that over the top. If you have any sand around these edges, you'll need to clean that up. Otherwise, it may not fit tightly. These things, the kit I bought is from Do-It-Yourself Castings, and the quality of the fixtures is very good. These are a very tight fit, so I need to make sure that I have all the sand out of there, otherwise it won't fit together. So See, there's very little as far as gaps go. So now I can go ahead and pack in this part here. Kind of want to crumble this in here nicely. I put in about part way, pack it down, and making sure to pack it around and in where the ring's going to be so it fills in all the details. You'll quickly find with sandcasting that this is not an art form that is going to yield extremely high quality detailed results, and there's definitely limits to what will cast very well. Don't get discouraged if your first few castings don't come out well. I think it took me 5 tries before I even got my first good casting. So there are just little things and tricks that you kind of pick up along the way you orientate the piece, and how much you pack it down. This simple design is pretty forgiving. So, but I'm going to show you. Hopefully, it comes out nicely. If it doesn't come out nicely, I'll show it to you anyways, so we can talk about where I messed up, what I might have done wrong. So now you can see here, I've got these 2 halves. So again, I can pull them straight across from each other. You can see I've got a nice, very clean imprint on that side. The ring is still in there. So I'm just going to, looks like it actually transferred over to the other side, but that's fine. So I'm going to use my thumb again here. Move this out of the way so I don't dribble sand in my good mold here. The other thing you have to be careful about is if you work above your work surface and you're pushing on it, you could end up pushing the mold. See, I've pushed it outwards. I need to work with it on a work surface so I'm not actually altering the mold here terribly. And I'm going to have to eyeball this, how deep those wells are on each side to get them to be about the same. Now, using just about anything you like, I like to get this out by getting it out where I'm going to be putting my sprue in, and I like a big sprue. So I'm going to just carve this out here. Nice and round. And now I can get this out here carefully. Once you think it's loose enough, you might be able to tap it out. Just tap it out. Come on. There it goes. Okay, that looks fantastic. Nice and clean. I'm going to look in there. This is where sometimes I'll put on an optimizer and I'll look around to see if I want to clean anything up. I even like to go so far as to trim these corners of the sprue and make it nice and easy for the metal to flow in, get around the corners. Remember, this is not vacuum assisted. This is gravity only. So the only way the metal is going to flow into this is gravity is going to pull it down, and the weight of any extra metal on top is going to be pushing down. So when you do get ready to cast, having more metal melted than what you think you're going to need is actually really important. If you don't have plenty of extra metal, you won't have that weight pushing down. So here's where a nice soft brush can get in here. And remember, if I remove material from this, the ring's just going to be a little bit bigger than I need, and I can always grind off extra. In fact, pretty much count on grinding off extra metal. So now I've got one side done. I need to go over to the other side and carve out a matching sprue here. The sprue is what you call the shaft where the metal enters into the mold. Now, if you have a prototype that already has a sprue attached, that's great, because if you already have one there, then you're going to make the mold. The sprue is already going to be there. You can also press it in here I can use this paintbrush handle and roll that across there. Get nice rounded edges. You can also do a lot of interesting modifications. Like if I wanted to add some prongs on here, I could do that. One thing I am going to do, and sometimes I usually forget to do this, so I'm glad I remembered here. These little holes here are here for a reason. These are air channels. As you can imagine, if metal is rushing in and there's air in here, which there's going to be, the air has no way to get out, so it wants to burp out the top, but that prevents the metal from running in. So you have to give a way for the metal to get out, or the air to get out. So I like to find the point which is farthest here and just do this here. These air channels don't need to be very big. That's why I'm just using an X-Acto knife. An X-Acto knife if you're an English teacher. Okay. So now that I've got the two halves ready, I'm going to hold them here using this top rectangle to line them up. I'm just going to slide them together. You can see inside here that my sprue matches up, my little thumbprints match up. And now this little jig here, you can slide that into there and it holds the two halves together very tightly. It's a very, very snug fit. If you have any sand at all in this crack, it probably won't fit. So I'm just going to slowly do that. You don't want any more sand to fall down in there. Because that would just leave a cavity in your mold. So we got that in there. Now we're ready to go pour some metal.
All right, so for this next part, I'm going to be wearing a respirator because I don't really like to breathe in all the smelly fumes that come off of the torch and the melting metal and flux. So I recommend you get something similar as well. So I won't be doing a whole lot of talking, but I'll try to narrate and put captions in the best as I can.
For this next part, we're going to be melting the metal here. I have an old failed sand casting piece here. You can see it's mostly button. It didn't flow down to the ring. I've got an extra button here to make sure I've got plenty. I also have my crucible, which I've surrounded with fire brick and charcoal block to help create a small oven to help it melt faster. I have my flask here all set up, ready to pour. I have my powder flux within arm's reach. I've got my gas torch here with the torch turned on. I have a jar of water here in case I need to put out a fire. I also have a fire extinguisher handy, but also will use this to help cool the metal down. And I have above here a flex arm air hood here, a vacuum hood to help suck out some fumes. I'm opening up the windows and doors here. So let's go ahead and get started.
All right, going to drop the metal in, turn on the fan, turn on the torch here. They're going on about a minute and a half. It takes up to 3 or 4 minutes sometimes to melt this much metal with this type of torch. Just keep going.
Wear welding gloves, always a good idea. Just gonna go ahead and pop this open here and see how it looks. Okay, moment of truth here. That's a big button, so I don't know if we got it all onto the ring. Ah, only half formed. Okay, that happens. But here's the cool thing. We're gonna try this again here and see if we get it on the second pour. For now, I'm just gonna grab this with some tweezers and put it in the water. All right, pause the video and come back when I have a fresh mold. All right, once you have this burnt stuff, we don't have to throw away all of the sand, just the burnt part. So I've got a trash can here, and I'm just gonna scrape the burnt part off. Like burnt toast, just scrape it off. The rest of it's still fine. So here's the first try. You can see it really only went about halfway around. And there's a couple of reasons why something like this might happen. One would be if you don't have the metal quite hot enough. That's a possibility. It's hard to know for sure just by looking at this. One possible reason is if you don't have enough metal, but just looking at this, I can say I definitely have more than enough metal here in the button to have finished this ring. Another reason is that if there's a constriction point, maybe this type of ring is just too narrow for the metal to sort of push through. So I might try to widen the ring out on this next version. Other ones could just be insufficient air channels to let the air out. So I'm going to try this again and we'll give it another go. All right, here's the next mold. As you can see, I've made a gigantic sprue. The button is closer to the ring, and I've taken advantage of all of the air holes and made them wider and increased the blowout section at the end. So let's go ahead and give this a go.
All right, here's the second pour in the flask. A few minutes now, I'll pull it out.
Alrighty, let's open this baby up, and hopefully this time we did a little better. The button looks a little smaller, so that's a good sign. Alright, look at that. We got a full ring there. So you can see here, and all the way around. We'll go ahead and pull this out. That in the water. Alright, we'll clean that up. So we've got a nice clean casting here. You can see obviously there's some flashing where the two halves came together, but not that much, which is good. So that will mean not very much cleanup. The other important aspect is that the two sides, there's no jog in the two halves, which is important. I've got a monster sprue to cut off here, so I'm going to show you the one last piece of equipment, which I think is really helpful to have. All right, we're going to go for the metal hacksaw here. And slowly cut this off here. So I've got the sprue cut off. Now I can just use regular jewelry making techniques to go ahead and clean this up. I'm not going to go into a lot of detail on how to do that, because I have a whole series on jewelry making called Jewelry Making 101 and Silversmithing 201, which I'll put links up in the corner to. You can check those out if you want to see more of my jewelry making techniques and videos. So for now, that's the end of this sandcasting video. I'll try to post maybe some more videos showing some other more sophisticated techniques and equipment that you can use to get more detailed designs. So this is Austin Moore with Earth Art Gem and Jewelry. Thank you for watching.